what is Vodacom Group's journey on human rights? What are those nuggets? What is working? What is not working? What is challenging? What are those dilemmas that we are yet to understand?
So we started the journey 3 years ago, and actually we were one of the first participants in the Human Rights Accelerator. And what we have done on that very quickly is each year we nominate people from different parts of the business, because as you saw from the findings, is people don't actually understand what it is, how it applies to their business area. And interestingly enough, one of the people who's currently doing it is from a compliance area, because he wants to understand the intersection of compliance, which is very much about protect company, but actually how does that actually also look from the individual's perspective. So we've been through a very long journey. We did the accelerator, we did our own assessment, but I think I have to be honest, I knew before we even did the assessment that there was going to be like big enough holes that you could drive a bus straight through them. And unfortunately it confirmed that. And as we've progressed down this journey, I think, I don't know how many of you know the mythical creature called a hydra. It's that one which is like a snake that has 1 million heads. And I have to be honest, that's one of the challenges, is that human rights is a little bit like that. Because no sooner do you think you've identified a risk and you've kind of understood what it is, then all of a sudden you turn your head and you start looking somewhere else, and then there are 2 more that pop up. So although, I mean, it sounds overwhelming, and I guess sometimes we do feel overwhelmed, but it's an exciting journey. We choose to see it very positively. We've gone through a process of conducting an independent due diligence process, reconfirming what we believed were our salient issues. But even having said that, about 18 months afterwards, we kind of looked and said, we didn't quite get this right, so maybe we need to go and actually relook at these. We've taken the policy, we've localized it not only at a Vodacom group level, but every single OPCO across the continent has taken that policy, understood the local context, understood the local regulations, and have localized that policy. We've done extensive training with people across the business, trying to get that language as we spoke about. And this started at the top. So we started with our management committee, and I smiled a little bit because Retibile's presentation actually almost echoed one of my first presentations to the Exco. I had the little extracts of the media headlines and all of that good stuff, and because I needed to get management to really understand that this is not let's put it underneath, and it's okay, we've got good labor practices, it's fine. And I have to tell you, that discussion with our Exco was incredible, because it spoke to people on an individual level. We had Excos bringing up, unfortunately, even challenging things to say, we live in a bit of a culture where sugar daddies or sugar mummies, let's not be genderist, pay for favors, do vouchers and everything. So we started saying, like, whoa, how do we, is that something that we need to look into? Because we understand that there could be, for every positive, I could be sending a voucher because you need to catch a taxi. But what happens if actually that voucher is being used in return for something which is not exactly desirable? So we had very, very robust discussions at Exco, and it was very clear in terms of what we wanted to do. Although I must say, that first discussion, it was kind of like, slow your horses, because the goals were this big. We've done board education, really making sure that our social and ethics committee understand what human rights means in the telco. And because we are a telco who also offers IoT services and mobile money, that even makes some of the risks we have even bigger. And I'll pause it, because that's one of the things where I think that is where it's a great opportunity. As Cheng had said, we can do amazing things, promote access to education, access to financial inclusion, access to government services, because we partner with government. But what are the negative sides of that? So as an example, when we do mobile money, there's a massive risk of fraud, identity theft, data privacy. So we need to look at the risk side. IoT is achieving some of the most amazing things. We've just launched a program which is a digital water tower solution. In Gauteng, we don't know what happens to 50% of the water. It's a solution that's going to help tracking, help governments understand what's happening, bill accurately, get an understanding. But on the flip side of that, there is a potential to say, is there IoT surveillance? How is government going to start using that data? So if they see that the water consumption in a house that should only reasonably house 4 people is so high that something seems a bit odd. So these are the things that we have to consider. We're about to embark on a process where we're going to actually do independent due diligence processes on products specifically to say, let's not keep it at a high level. We need to go and actually look at individual products and understand what that is. And we are also preparing human rights due diligence training and toolkits for our salespeople. Are you selling appropriately? We sometimes forget, it's actually important that you are fair when you're selling goods to customers, that they're clear, they understand, they know their rights in terms of cancellation, etc. Also with our product development team, when you're developing a new solution, are you actually thinking about potential negative impact this could have on an individual's human rights? And then obviously the supply chain piece. On that, I think we've really worked well. And it comes, unfortunately, and this is one of the challenges, sometimes with the negative. We created something which I hope you all heard of, the virtual wheeling platform, which is a way that every South African corporate can participate in the production of renewable energy, which will be put into the grid. So dealing with the energy crisis that we have, but also supporting the transition. Our specific project has been delayed, which needless to say is crushing, but it was delayed for good reason. We could not confirm the traceability of the solar panels to ensure that there was no slavery. So we actually had to pause, almost go back to the drawing board, run a new RFP, because when we actually spoke with the supplier who we were about to award the contract to, they could not confirm that with us. So we said, we walk away. It's had a big impact, both in terms of we want to progress the transition, we want to make sure that we actually are doing the right things in terms of protecting the right to a healthy environment, but because we couldn't say there was definitely no slavery involved, we had to go back to the drawing board. So lots of challenges, but lots of opportunities.